Hey everyone, welcome back to the IEM Sydney 2019 Closed Qualifiers Southeast Asia region. That's Pilly, I'm Elfish Guy. We've got Boot and Lucid Dream in this grand final, and right now, I mean, it kind of feels like we've got Boot and maybe like half a Lucid Dream. Like, they're not really here yet. I don't know if they're ever really going to turn up to this because, well, I mean, they're not having the performance that we expected them to.
They're not doing too bad. Let's not take it away from them
Pilly's
too
being
much.
a nice
They're
guy.
getting double digits in both maps. I mean, one of them was their map pick, and they did pretty well in that map in particular. Some pretty impressive plays from Splashkey. I mean, you got Flashkey dropping a 30 bomb on you, and all of the other lads contributing as well on Nuke. What can you really do? On Train, I mean, they had one good half. They did pretty well on the CT side of Train, 10-5. Unfortunately, they got one round on the T side.
Blink twice if they're holding a gun to you.
I don't like putting them down too much, especially when they're one of the better teams in the Asian region. But, you know, we really expected them to be able to come away with this one pretty easily going up against Boot. But Boot, all night, they've been showing their resilience. They've been showing their ability to make really good fundamental decisions, both as individuals and as a team. And not only that, like, their firepower has been really good.
I think that's the important thing to say as well, right? Like, going into this, and into this segment in particular, you know, it is all in the context of how we expected this series to go. So while I may say, okay, maybe Lucid Dream's not turning up to this series, that's because the expectation was that they should probably 2-0 and get the 3-0 against Boot Dreamscape. Boot Dreamscape, who have had a lot of roster changes, have been going through pretty spotty form recently, haven't really been turning up to these kinds of qualifiers and international events with the same form that we used to see out of them. But now it seems like Boot Dreamscape is kind of almost back to their old selves, where they're just streaming away with the SEA qualifiers like it's no one's business. Go back 12 months, and this is exactly the situation we would be in. And then we'd be saying, hey, look, actually, Lucid Dream's done pretty well for themselves. They've got 2 double-digit scorelines against Boot. But I think the expectations are different right now, and Boot is definitely smashing the expectations where Lucid Dream's not necessarily living up to them at the moment. Still got 2 more maps to go, though. It's 2 apiece right now. Sorry, 2-1, I should say, in Boot Dreamscape's favour. So it's still not an unwinnable series for Lucid.
I don't know about that.
It's going to need a Herculean effort for them to come back here.
Yeah,
on
look,
Mirage.
here's the big problem, okay? You got Mirage coming up, which could go either way if you asked me before the series. At this point, the momentum's all in the favour of Boot Dreamscape. Then they're looking better as individuals on a map like Mirage. That's pretty important. You know, you've seen Splashkey playing pretty phenomenally throughout the series in general, but even if they're able to pull it out on Mirage, which I can imagine will be a really close match, you're heading on to Dust 2, which Boot Dreamscape looked fantastic on earlier. Yeah,
exactly. That, to be fair, in the context of Boot Dreamscape looking fantastic, was against Alpha Red, who we theorized, and perhaps were proven correct, didn't have an amazing Dust 2. Maybe a different story here against Lucid, but even still, I think there's questions to be asked, and particularly when we talk about the AWPs and that kind of thing. These next 2 maps, I think, is going to be really tough. Even the next one map, which in my mind should be it, right? I think Boot Dreamscape gets 3 maps on the board today. They win the series 3-1, but really, okay, it will say on paper 3-1. In reality, it's a 3-0, which is actually a super solid result. Like, a 3-0 is you literally smash them.
100%, and I personally, even if you asked me before the series, would have preferred to see Dreamscape go through anyway, because I feel like they have more opportunity and more potential to actually do damage at an international event due to the fact that they've just got more experienced players. They've got more players who have experience at an event that's a big international tier 1 event. You know, they've been to, I think, you know, the Katowice or something like the equivalent of that as a lineup. They also went to the last Sydney as well. Like, you look at what Lucid Dream have done in terms of international events, it doesn't even compare to the resume of some of these veterans on the Dreamscape lineup. So if you're looking at a team that's looking to potentially make an upset in an IEM Sydney or something like that, I'd more point towards a Boot Dreamscape rather than a Lucid Dream, even though you would have pointed at Lucid Dream actually winning this qualifier.
Yeah, there's definitely an argument to be made, I think, in that respect, Billy. And I probably would agree with you as well. That said, I would also have been interested, I say as if Boot have already won this qualifier. I would be interested actually to see how Lucid would do at an international event like IEM Sydney, though I do expect that they aren't necessarily ready for that level just yet. But look, jury's out. We'll have to wait and see who we actually do get through to IEM Sydney and how they go when they actually do get here as well. You got to remember, this year for a lot of these teams is going to be more difficult than it has been in previous, right? Because last year we had 3 teams from Asia, we had 3 teams from ANZ. Now we've only got the 2 teams from ANZ. Yeah, we've still got the 3 teams from Asia. But, you know, that's just one less slot that is going to a quote-unquote weaker region, right? Yep. So there's even more competition that the weaker regions kind of have to deal with. So it makes life a little more difficult. There's no more free passes, in a sense.
Flash going to come out from CBBK any second now as these Glocks stream out the B apartments here, Jordan.
Yeah, Bobasaur and Divide trying to hold on to the side, and so far things are going okay. Bobasaur, oh, how has he done that? 3 with the CZ, he even gets the reload off, and this should be the 4th for him as well. And Boot, it does not seem like that hype train has stopped as we pull into Mirage. Bobasaur just cleans them up.
Jordan.
Yeah.
400 ADR after 1 round. What do you have to say about that?
Incredible. Bobasaur might be the best player in this game.
All right.
Look at that, 400. Have you ever seen a number that big?
Yeah, a couple times. Not in my bank account recently, though. Anyway, Splashky's lost his life, unfortunately, very early on in the piece here. It's a 1-for-1. Divide trying to do damage from the con. Going to get picked off as well. There's a lot of damage from the Glocks.
Yeah, Benkai, though, able to salvage with a couple from the UMP, and the grenade there also helping out. So, you could argue a little bit worrisome for a moment there for Boot, but when all said and done, things have been cleaned up pretty nicely, and Genius just lets himself go down to the Incendiary, not wanting to feed any more money over to the SMGs. Fair enough. 2-0 on the board for Boot. First buy going to come through here for Lucid. What is Splashky going to go for? Certainly doesn't have the money for the AWP, so it's going to be the AUG. Might be the next best thing that you can get in this round.
See the approach from Lucid Dream here. Lots of players heading over towards this B side of the map, or middle. Are they going to head towards the B apartments? Looks like it could be a pretty quick one over towards... I don't know yet, actually. Kind of walking around. All right, so... Lucid Dream now, it looks like they're going to try to put a bit of pressure on towards B and then maybe try to make their way out of A halls and catch some of these rotates. You see Splashky and Divide making their way through jungle and murder hole, very quickly going over towards this B bomb site. They're trying to make a tell that this B execute is coming in by throwing that smoke onto the windows and making a lot of noise. 4 CTs on this bomb site. They've definitely solved this, but they're not getting any of the entries.
No, Splashky shutting down CBBK. Genius still just trying to pull those players across. Should mean a bomb plant will go down fairly comfortably here for Lucid, but I wonder, have they lost too much? That said, Bobasaur will drop to Genius. So the rotates coming across are actually being punished by Lucid Dream, and this is looking much better now, especially because Splashy will drop to QQ. The numbers well and truly in the favor of Lucid. Alex may be able to get 1 onto PTC here by Firebox if he just jumps up at the right time. But all chance of winning the round now for Boot, I think, has fallen by the wayside.
Got a kit, Jordan. Alex has a kit. I don't know.
I'm sure.
Come on, PTC. You don't need to look at the bomb. It's okay. Just leave it. It's not important.
Hang on.
Nah, there's no way. Surely not. Want to fly? Yep, he's in. He's close enough. Yeah. Luckily, he didn't go on a bit of a mission through T-Spawn, or that definitely could have been a Boot round there. Either way, Lucid Dream, really nice set play to start things off. You know, nowadays, it's very, very common to see that B apps execute come in where you see the entry player actually throw a smoke deep into B apps to draw out some utility and get in a really good position to be able to get in early on that entry. And that's what it really looked like they were setting up. That's why you see Boot super overreact towards that B bomb site. It looks like a very common execute that's rolling around at, you know, the top level of play nowadays in a lot of different regions. But that's not what Lucid Dream's going for at all. The same smoke being thrown out in this round in particular as well.
Look at the buy that Boot have thrown in here as well. It's going to be the AWP, the M4. It looked like, when you looked at their economy, that they wouldn't buy. Or that you might go for pistol armor at best. But they've actually somehow managed to get an AWP. They've got an M4. I mean, I've said even all night, Splashky, if he has the AWP, the round is winnable for Boot.
Going to throw a deep Molotov, which I would imagine he's going to use to try to get a closer angle. Jump up on that balcony and peer deeper into apps, try to make a bit more impact. He's actually going to stay at this spot in particular. I don't think Lucid Dream are going to expect him to have an AWP, and he gets the first frag very easily. That puts a huge stoppage in the plans of Lucid Dream. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, QQ, he's really looking for a pick out onto that A bomb site because they've lost the man advantage. He gets it as well.
Alex not ready. But it still doesn't solve the issue for Lucid. They don't really have control of the areas of the map that they need. Devi goes 1 for 1 there. Well, it's Bulbasaur really that goes down, but Devi gets the 1 for 1. PTC spamming away through in connector, gives his position away. There's
Beautiful smoke
here. The rotation's starting to come across. Devi does some damage. Where is Splashkey? Oh, Benkai! He's actually got the bomb carrier there as well. And the round is over! As soon as it looks like Lucid start to make some inroads into the A bomb site, Boot's just like, nah, see ya. Don't worry about it.
That was just a classic. Splashkey, he gets the opening because there's no way Lucid Dream are expecting to go up against the Orb. Beautiful avoidance of that flash, and although QQ, he takes matters into his own hands and tries to take the round by force, it just doesn't work out. Such a messy round where Lucid are just, since losing that first pick and realizing they're actually going up against a bye, they're struggling.
Oh!
Splashkey, does he miss? I mean, yes he does. We've got it on video.
We saw one. We saw one miss on train.
Yep.
Maybe the observer's just biased and doesn't catch his misses, but let's be honest, he is on fire tonight.
Absolutely.
And I already start to feel like Lucid is slipping away a little bit here on Mirage. Yeah, they're on a pistol here, but look at the shots that Splashkey is hitting. The way that Boot is winning these rounds, they're close, but Boot's coming up with the goods, right? And Lucid aren't quite managing to match that firepower.
There's just no magic from Lucid. It's like
that's right,
sort of the team approach where they're trying to cause all these rotations. They're trying to get tricky, trying to put things into a good scenario for themselves to be able to come away with the round. Whereas Boot, you know, you just can't put any sort of quantifiable measure on Splashkey just wrecking everyone with the Orb, or Bulbasaur just getting 4 headshots with a CZ. It's just the kind of things that haven't really been happening for Lucid at all tonight.
Splashkey drops the Molotov down for himself in case there was a smoke coming into window, but there is not. It's Lucid Dream toward the A bomb site this time. All of the Molotovs flying in. Devi has some work to do, and he actually does manage to get a couple, which makes the situation pretty nice. I think Benkai's heard the player at top mid, doesn't win the aim battle. QQ drops him down, and Splashkey charging onto the bomb site. He actually might be able to get CBBK there, doesn't quite, because of the damage through the box not being enough. That's put into a 2v1 for Bulbasaur, who does drop to the taps of QQ. Well around on the board for Lucid.
Quick one out onto that A bomb site that time to change up the pace from Lucid, and unfortunately Alex, who's hiding behind the try box, he's really the most important player in that round in particular for Boot. Doesn't really get too much done, and unfortunately he doesn't even get a 1-for-1, so that allows Lucid to have quite a few personnel towards the later part of that round, and you really have to point towards QQ. He's thinking deep, he wants this for Lucid, he's having quite a good performance for himself already. Want to fly with a few key entries in that last round in particular as well. Lucid very fast up catwalk here. Another pretty scuffed buy here for Boot, but Benkai's making it work.
They certainly always seem to be able to make these kinds of buy work. It's a double CZ stack in the underpass. And yep, exactly.
Splashkey in the B apartments, they haven't learned yet.
Splashkey is just able to have that kind of an impact. Even if it's just one frag with the Orb in a round like this, that may be enough. Splashkey's gone down, and Benkai just gets caught off with the timing. QQ, another good entry from him. So now we're back to a 3v3, and this time the CZs need to be upgraded.
Genius is in a fantastic position here at jungle. He can control all of the rotations in through this side of the map. I was going to say he could control Con as well, but he doesn't need to when CBBK's top middle. Genius has actually let Devi through Murder Hole here, or could potentially. Devi doesn't want to go any further because he doesn't know if anyone's in that right corner waiting for him. It's always a very risky sort of move to go in, but he's going to do so. Genius ready for him on the off angle and instantly deletes him. It's all on Alex trying to play retake from CT spawn in a 1-on-3 with a FAMAS. I don't know about that one.
I don't think you're going to be able to make this work at all. He doesn't have a defuse kit. He doesn't have a smoke. He's got really nothing to help him out. So you almost would say like saving is a better option here, but really what's there to save when all you're carrying is a FAMAS? He does get rid of QQ. Genius almost drops as well.
That was an M4, definitely could have been it.
But even then, like, there's still another player to find. Yep. And with the post-plant situation the way it was, it seems impossible for him to win that round.
So finally, Boot have been forced on the eco after a couple of risky buys that have had varying successes. What I will say, though, is that Lucid's overall approach on this map seems very good. I like the way that they're mixing up what bomb sites they're hitting. I like the way they're causing these rotations. The pace that they're coming out with PTC, you don't want to be taking those fights, mate.
But that was also what we sort of said about Nuke, you know? We were talking quite highly of Lucid and what they were being able to do, but it was just Boot that, when push came to shove, had the ability to frag out.
Make those impact plays. I mean, they only have the pistols, didn't get a single kill. Qualifier makes himself a fair bit of cash. So that's a good step in the right direction for Lucid to start to get their economy off to a good start. Splashkey doesn't have the money for the AWP this round in particular. Devi's going to... Who bought one? Bobosaur bought one. And he's going to swap out, so we will have the Splashkey AWP in play, which we have seen time and time again get picks over towards that B apartments. Wouldn't be surprised. As well towards middle, he's been doing well.
Well, I was going to say, I want to see him do something elsewhere, right? Because B doesn't seem to have been the priority for Lucid. It's been A, actually. Even mid hasn't been the focus.
A jungle smoke from PTC? I think so. I don't think I've ever seen someone line this smoke up before. I'm keen to where I know MC wants to know as well. Yeah, or is that a con smoke? That was a stairs smoke. There you go. Beautiful.
He's bamboozled you.
They used to throw that one off the skybox. QQ out with a fury through B apartments this time, in fact. Oh my lord.
Okay. That's a bomb plane going down as well. Splashy just, I think, put off by the flames there a little bit. Forced to move, can't quite land the shot that he needs to, and obviously Alex going down there in CT as well makes matters worse. Pretty sure Splashy's been spotted here by Wannafly, and he's going to be wrapped upon from the back in just a second. Wannafly keeping him busy. In fact, there's a smoke behind him, so he's not going to go down. And Devi may be able to win this aim duel against QQ. He does, but not before Splashkey goes down, which is unfortunate. You just need to try and take as many guns with you as you can.
I mean, that strat in particular was pretty reminiscent of what we saw in the first gun round. Lucid Dream, they're throwing a bunch of smokes over towards that A bomb site, trying to cause rotations and create a lot of space for these B players to be able to come out. And that's exactly what happens. QQ comes out with a vengeance, creates so much space with those A smokes coming out B. He gets those entries, and they're able to put the bomb down fairly easily there. So they're really punishing Boot for this over-rotation.
Well, we talked about that magic needing to be there for Lucid Dream, and we're starting to get a bit of a feel for it from QQ at least, though he is down in this round. Again, not that it should matter too much, but it's still nice to see Boot kind of fragging out a little bit here. One more frag and it really puts them in an interesting position. Bobosaur maybe getting a little bit too keen there. But I think that is kind of Bobosaur's tendency. He always likes to be pushing forward on the front foot, holding the W key. PTC and CBBK to just try and ensure this one doesn't get too hairy, and that's well navigated. 6 now up for Lucid, but a buy and a really good buy actually to come here for Boot. This is going to be their best buy of the half so far.
Double AWP on Devi as well. That's exactly what I want to be seeing. The thing is, though, that they've really been training Lucid to be very careful of these AWPs getting aggressive in awkward areas of the map. So I don't know if it's necessarily going to yield fruit here for Boot if they do go to some unorthodox areas and try to look for picks with those AWPs. PTC rather seems like he's trying to stop someone post up towards that B halls.
Oh,
Splashkey's playing retake CT with his AWP and Devi.
Right.
Yeah.
He spots him out, just bides his time, waits for the moment, and takes a really solid peek. Alex may give it back, but somehow wins that aim duel against QQ. You expect that to go the way of the T.
I don't even know why he's pushing that in man advantage situation. He loves doing that. I've seen him do that all night, where they're up in man advantage on the CT side, and he goes for a bit of a push.
I know there's 2-man advantage, so it's even better. And controlling Palace as well.
Win more. Why
not? An off angle here for Alex as well. CBBK is ready for it.
Oh, there you go.
Didn't know you could fall out of the map. Splashkey will play in front of the smoke, and this may be a big problem for Lucid. Well, a 1-for-1. At the end of the day for Splashkey, that's probably good enough job done by him, and now it rests on the shoulders of the remaining teammates. Bomb to go down here, but Devi...
Beautiful flash.
There's a hole in the smoke, so it's not going to keep CBBK alive too much longer. The flash was good, as you say, but for all the good it's going to do, Wannafly now in a 1v3. That said, this is a position that you can clutch a 1v3 out from if Boot Dreamscape gives him that opportunity. You can see all the utilities starting to fly in. They should be isolating his position now. I've spotted him, but this is what I'm talking about. Players lining up for you, and he just needs one more headshot. Devi Pressure on him now, but he hits the shot with the USP. The defuse will come across just in time as well. A lot of damage there again to boot, though, so their CT economy just cannot start to build.
Especially because they're buying that double orb. It's going to make it pretty costly for them, losing 4 players. Lucid Dream, they've got plenty of money to roll forward with in this half and plenty more rounds to play for the T side of Lucid Dream. They've had so many different looks, so many different approaches thus far. Mostly pretty bomb site heavy and really focused on causing these rotations and catching Boot Dreamscape off guard. And it's worked pretty well for them. Now 2 MP9s over on the side of Boot. They're going to go for a bit of aggressive ramp pressure. Splashkey with the AWP, as well as Alex going to be tucked into the left corner. So if anyone was there, contact would be taken by Splashkey, and then Alex on the off angle may catch someone off guard, potentially.
I like the idea for Boot, and I like the position that it's in because of the priority that Lucid have put on A. But this round, it doesn't look like they're going to be A. This is where you'd rather see the AWP maybe in mid. Yeah,
much slower round this time from Lucid. Going to be taking some slow mid control. Looks like a bit of a cat split, actually. Ooh. Yeah, this is going to be a catwalk split from Lucid fairly early on here. Benkai, though.
Yeah, Benkai might be able to line up a couple of Bulbasaur as well in a pretty interesting position in the apartments. That is never going to be checked at all. So Bulbasaur's done a great job. Benkai, I think you've got to give a shout out to him, though, on short. He's found all 3 of the players trying to progress there. Got control of the bomb as well. And he's essentially won the round for Boot all on his own.
Great disruptive play there from Benkai. Really shuts that down before it even gets going. Lots of set plays coming out from Lucid. Time and time again. No, standard sort of mid control where they're trying to put 1 or 2 players in a pretty key position to be able to succeed and then decide in the mid round, sort of where they want to head, or in the late round where they want to head based off what happens in the round. It really feels like a lot of these rounds are pre-planned from the get-go.
Have we actually seen attack pause from Boot tonight?
I don't know who the attack pause... I've only known 1 or 2 of the attack pauses.
They've all been Lucid, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. Boot doesn't need him.
Yeah.
Who needs tactics when you've got Splashkey?
That's true.
Alex over the mic. Okay, this round, Splashkey, go kill.
Yep. Seems good. PTC's got a massive chunk there. Don't know what that's from. It's definitely not from Splashkey, who was in mid.
Maybe a double nade.
Yeah, could have been.
Much slower round from Lucid once again.
Yeah, Splashkey making the opening happen for Boot.
Pushes up mid there. Fearless, this man. And advantage for Boot again. Off the back of the AWPs, finding a pick. Lucid spread out all over the map. No real control of any specific part of the map. I would say that if this round's going to go anywhere, it's going to be off the back of either Genius or QQ making a pretty important impact kill where they're able to open up one of the bomb sites, maybe start the rotations. It's just going to be a 2-2 split from Lucid, which they found a fair bit of success off. Usually when they're throwing utility over to one part of the map, you're seeing CBPK is starting to throw some grenades over towards B. Flash over the top is going to put Genius in a decent position.
Oh, the flash is good, but Bulbasaur does get out of his position quite safely, and Benkai also backs him up. Over on A, the real push, the real committed attack is starting to come with the bomb. And wisely, we'll see Alex just back away. The Molotov may force him out even further. Benkai should get a free one here. CBBK, it's a difficult angle to spot for him, and Benkai's already seen the foot. So he will get that kill. And it's 2v3. Bulbasaur can't quite calibrate the aim onto QQ. So good, nice peek out from him. But the health advantage is certainly there for Boot, and Splashkey with the AWP is also there. PTC now needs to find 2, misses the first shot, and that is a crucial shot to miss. It was the only chance he had of winning that round, was hitting that shot. And Boot will go back in the lead, up to 7.
QQ is doing such fantastic work from Lucid, but it doesn't really feel like anyone's performing up to that standard on the side of Lucid thus far on this map in particular. PTC definitely hasn't really been with it most of the night. Splashkey's definitely been the better player thus far. Boot starting to pull away a little bit more after the first couple of good rounds from Lucid on the gun rounds in the middle part of the half after the pistol. Looking like another set play with the pistols this time. Half buy from Lucid towards the A bomb site.
Alex is holding close. So that could be problematic. Starting to filter back towards stairs, so all in all, I mean, guess nothing to talk about right now, actually, as Lucid have just slowed things down. It looked like they were going to make that execute straight away, but waiting out the timing a little.
Splashki has a lot of info towards mid, and Alex is just kind of hold his underpass as best he can. Meanwhile, Devi, he's playing retake. A doesn't want to give any opportunities to these pistol players from Lucid. But it's going to be a full retake from Boot. They're really going to rely on some of these Molotovs to flush out certain positions later in the round after Lucid's got the bomb down.
With the hole in the CT smoke, the bomb plant may be a little more difficult here for Lucid. With that said, they're starting to push in through mid. Alex gets one. Players close on both sides here, though, so he definitely does not want to move out of connector. At least not at the moment, at least not without the backup of a couple of flashes or something. Does get that timing perfect, and now gets pushed as he does go on the reload.
Qualifier didn't get that AUG.
Time is actually ticking quite quickly here, though. Half of the bomb timer has already gone by. Not a whole lot of utility here for the CT side either. So Smoke's going to go onto the bomb. Someone's going to have to jump on that pretty shortly.
BBK's on the flank.
It is indeed. But he's going to be sprayed down by Benkai. So danger averted. Nicely done. Would have been difficult to deal with Benkai and then get Bobasaur as well, who was in the smoke. 8-6 up for Boot. Real opportunity to go 9-6, which is, I think, a pretty solid scoreline here on Mirage. Double Ops back out once again for the CT side. But of course, it is a goodbye for Lucid in this one. They saved the last round. So at least they're going to be able to give it a red hot crack here on Mirage. And quite frankly, I wouldn't mind actually seeing an 8-7 here, just to keep things interesting. If we go to 9-6, you get the sense that Boot's just starting to pull ahead a little bit in that sense. It's nothing too major, but...
Get another set play out from your boys over on Lucid. Genius on the flank towards that B side. See if he's able to create any pressure towards there.
Look where Splashki is, though. He's ready on A.
Mid control. How much control has Alex actually got in mid? It's all the way at the top. He knows no one's in middle. He's going to go for a pretty quick flank. So towards the later part of this round, that could be a massive problem for Lucid. They're not coming out A yet, despite throwing out these smokes. Look at Alex. He's gunning it.
Yeah, but he just wants to back up a little bit here. He's getting a little scared that there's going to be someone wrapping back around on him. The information game at the moment, Splashki already making things happen. There you go, 2 from him. And who could doubt the man? As soon as the utility fades, that's when Lucid decides to go, which obviously is a little surprising. And Splashki saying thank you very much. CBBK has got himself into jungle and will find an easy one onto Bobasaur, just out-positioning him. But it's still a dangerous position for Lucid, especially with Alex wrapping around the back. You realistically should not see a situation where they're going to lose this round.
I think Alex always had this round locked up, no matter whether that execute was actually going to come in from the start or whether they tried to throw this bit of a double pump in there. They threw the A execute and got Genius to apply pressure to that big bomb site, which drew a few rotations away, but it doesn't matter. They wait a little bit too long, and once those smokes dissipate, that's where Splashki shines. Picks 2 of them before they even get close to the bomb site. And at that point, Alex coming in to just hammer the nail down into the coffin. I believe that was 9-6 for Boot in that half in particular. So still a close game. Could go either way, but it really feels like Boot's a little bit more on top of the plays at the moment. And from how prepared and pre-planned that T side seemed from Lucid, I don't know that they necessarily got as many rounds as they might have expected to.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. With that said, though, it is only half the story here for Mirage. I will say I feel as though Boot have been a lot stronger on their CT sides tonight than on their T sides.
True.
Mostly because Splashki has been able to really just go crazy with the AWP on CT. And it hasn't really had that luxury on T. Not that he's really picked up the AWP as much on T either, but...
A little bit on you.
Yeah, a little bit. But I do think that Boot get a lot more of their rounds on CT side. So maybe there's still a chance here for Lucid, especially if they start off with this pistol, which it looks like they will. A couple of picks already coming for Genius and QQ. One trade back for Devi does mean it's still winnable. PTC wrapping around from T-Spawn. Heal drop as well, and all of a sudden now we're back to a 3v3 with Boot being able to play Ring Around the Rosie. They seem to be potentially aware that Genius is pushing into Palace here, so Divine needs this kill, and he won't get it, so still a 2v1 for Alex to deal with. He's the player without armor as well, so job's even more difficult. But he'll continue on the way to the A site. Did he spot the head-in connector there? Yeah, he definitely has now. Just one more shot!
Alex,
Not even
how has he done that?
Can't believe you've done this.
He's had a couple of pretty huge impact rounds tonight. That's for sure.
Of all the players, though, like, I don't think Alex is the one you expect to hit that shot. What is that?
Gorgeous.
That's fat. With a PH. Yeah, look, I could see Bulbasaur doing it, you know, because he's kind of that flicky kind of a player. Very high sense. Splashkey, of course. Benkai. Wouldn't really have associated Alex with a clutch like that. But nonetheless, Boot are going to be happy with it. And they're up 10, so the job gets even more difficult for Lucid now.
Yeah, a lot of pressure towards this A-ramp area from Lucid. Bulbasaur takes that opportunity to make his way up catwalk with the Mach 10 and get a lot of work done, jumping into window as he starts to flank these A players. Benkai as well, trying to get things done with the Mach 10. Bulbasaur comes in, he's hungry. Ooh. There you go.
He'll get PTC at least, so it's a bit of a snack. QQ on his own has a CZ. His position not known. Bomb's going to B. I mean, not much more really to say about this round. If he does get Benkai, then great. But Benkai was another player, I think, that only had the Mach 10. So not even really much to write home about there for Boot. Just getting rid of the pistols.
See if QQ can pick up one or two more guns. Especially if he kills one of these AK players and is able to pick up the AK for himself. Could be pretty nice. Putting himself in a pretty decent position to be able to do so. Pretty awkward angle for Splashkey to be able to deal with.
Yeah, he's going to get away with it as well.
Wonderful. Really good stuff from QQ. Speaking of which, he's having quite a good game for himself. He really wants this.
Yeah, but is he the only one that really wants it? That's the problem. Let's have a look at the scoreboard for Lucid as this pops up here.
I think it's him and CBBK that have been doing the majority of the work.
Well, Wannafly's there at 11 as well. It's a bit more across the board for Boot. 21 for Benkai, 17 Splashkey. Nonetheless, 5 rounds the difference, and that is, I think, still a pretty scary prospect for Lucid, really. First gun round, though. This will tell us a lot about how the rest of the half may play out. BTC pushing. And he'll be spotted. Well done from Bulbasaur. Benkai just caught napping a little bit there, though, onto CBBK. But Splashkey certainly will not be. A-side starting to be broken apart. If they get a smoke in towards CT, they can surely get a bomb plant down. But Genius actually does dispatch of Splashkey before that is an option. Bombs on the rotate still as well. So Devi actually really important aim battle for him here, which he cannot win. Timing not quite there for him. All of a sudden, Bulbasaur's on his own. It looked like a decent enough start for Boot, but they just felt like flies.
Speaking of flies, Wannafly, he's over towards Catwalk. He can potentially watch the triple cross. He's sort of swinging between B apps and triple. He's going to confirm that the T is over towards that area, but oh
wow.
My God, that's a very sharp headshot from Bulbasaur. They've got him locked into this default and firebox area. As long as Wannafly stays on this triple cross angle and CBBK sort of locks down the other one. He hasn't, though. He's allowed him to actually walk away. That's pretty curious. I guess he really wants to guarantee that they're able to take a 2-on-1 aim duel. Where's he off to, Bulbasaur, though? That's my question. Is he going to walk back into Palace? He's actually going to go towards B.
He can just make it.
Yeah, but the question is Wannafly going to go to underpass? Doesn't look like it. Really looks like they are set on the fact that they want to take this 2-on-1. Here's the thing, Bulbasaur, there is potential here. If he gets the bomb down and puts himself in a position like bench on a nice off angle, there is potential for him to be able to really line up 2 headshots.
Well, he is going to get the bomb down. Now, is he going to go to bench or is he going to play aggressively in toward market? What's he trying to do here? Okay.
This is an off angle, but I don't know if it's one that's going to nest. Oh my God, the spacing is terrible. He drops the nade in as well. That's going to chunk Wannafly. Definitely could have happened there. That was a strange off angle for sure, but he was one more shot off converting the round, so I'm not going to critique that one. That comes down so close, and that's not good news for the economy of Lucid Dream.
Exactly. I think that's the key factor. You know, you're always expecting to lose that round as Boot, but it could have been a round loss that sort of set the wheels in motion for Lucid. But to me now, it hasn't necessarily done that just yet. It's kind of stalled it out a little bit longer. Has it delayed the inevitable, or has it just meant that we're going to have to wait a little bit longer before Lucid really starts to get going? Not sure yet, but it's certainly the more favorable of the two options if you're looking at this from a Boot Dreamscape perspective.
Oh, I like this from Boot. They're going to go for a B execute with the MAC-10s and the CZ. What's the utility looking like on these B players? CBBK, he's going to have to make do with an MP9 Wanna-Fly. He's got an AK, but he's got no Incendiary to be able to drop down. Decent grenade to start things off onto Bulbasaur. CBBK is chilling with another one as well as a Molotov ready for this execute.
Yeah, Bulbasaur's really not having a fun time at all here, is he?
Oh, look at this position.
Is able to get one at least, then that's obviously going to be ideal. Wanna-Fly here on the site. We'll get Alex. Bulbasaur goes down. That's the MAC-10s out of the picture now. And in fact, almost all of Boot out of the picture now. Very well read by Lucid.
That's just fantastic use of utility to be able to hold off that push from Boot. The nades are constantly chipping away from them. They're having to run through smokes into Molotovs, etc., etc. I'm not really sure that that force buy was necessarily in their best interests. Especially trying to go through the utility of Lucid. I mean, you may not have expected them to have that much utility, but remember, with the new changes, they had a lot better of an economy than they would have had back in the old economy system. They had a lot more grenades than you would expect them to necessarily have in the old version.
Nonetheless, it's going to put Boot on an eco. Lucid starting to find their foothold now on the CT side, and this is what I was talking about where I was saying, well, the wheels weren't yet in motion the previous round, but now definitely feels as though that is the case. CT side economy going to start building up, assuming the guns are saved through here for Lucid. An AK for Divide, but he can't make it work. He cannot actually get any more damage out than what he has, and in fact actually gives a kill over to the MP9 as well, as the AK dropped into PTC's hands.
This is a much more clean round, and look at the money on the board across for Lucid Dream. They're definitely going to be able to pick up an AWP, but my question really is PTC going to start to get rolling if he gets that AWP into his hands? Because he needs to. He needs to start to make some impact in this game. CT side Mirage is his time to shine. Especially at the moment, because you're looking at Boot's economy and you're saying, wow, they don't really have the money that they necessarily need to be able to buy all the smokes and flashes to be able to stop an AWP making impact, but they're not going to go for it. He's not interested in the AWP. He's not feeling it right now. They're going to go 5 rifle across the board and make it work that way. Boot, not the most fantastic utility across the board from them. What's their approach going to be in this round?
I suspect for PTC, you know, he wasn't really feeling it in the last map, so there's no reason to suspect that he would be in this one. And Splashkey, I mean, he doesn't have the AWP, but he can still make it happen into mid. Really low on HP is Divine and Bulbasaur as well, but they both survive. And Splashkey eventually will drop. What a crazy round this has been so far.
Alex knows that Wanna-Fly was that main player on B who's had to swing over towards Catwalk. They know it was a mid-take, so there's going to be weakness on the extremities. Trades going back and forth, but you see the bomb now rushing over towards that B area.
What?
Divide did not need to take that fight, but he wins it anyway.
It just feels like that round in particular was Boot out-aiming, out-fragging,
yeah,
and out-dueling Lucid.
That was a brawl mid right from the get-go. Lucid wanted to go for a mid take with the smoke over towards top and just a flash and peeking together, but right from the get-go it seemed like Boot was very committed on that, swinging into middle and taking an aim duel, and it worked out beautifully for them. That would have been a fantastic round for PTC to have it all in his hands and actually make it work.
Well, he's got one now and actually does hit the leg shot onto Splashkey. The grenade that did follow was not enough. It didn't actually tickle Splashkey too much. Nonetheless, Boot, I think, will be happy with taking mid-control without having suffered a loss. Smokes and flashes coming in through here, but PTC just facing that smoke, and there's nothing Divide can do about it. He'll have to go down. Play no more part in this round.
So Boot a man down. How do they sort of resolve this round? Benkai's been very passive in that Palace area thus far, and he's actually not even going to try to prod and turn this round around very much. He's moving his way back toward T-spawn or maybe A ramp while the rest of Boot make their way up middle. Alex is going to have his hands full with CBK in the ladder room. No one's sending him in with a flash. He's just hoping for the best.
Yeah. really not going to find too much luck there. QQ might even get 2 here. Does not spot Bulbasaur, who is hanging on to the bomb right now, and will actually delete CBBK. Don't know if that gives me too much hope yet still for the round in favour of Boot. I think it hinges kind of on what Benkai can do on the entry here. Bulbasaur will just flash them in. Benkai is actually stuck behind a smoke as well, and he'll be spotted by Genius. So that's a pretty solid round. A very good response from Lucid Dream.
I've got to say, thus far, I don't know how impressed I really am with this T side from Boot.
Yeah.
It's looked pretty flat overall. Nothing's really been working out for them, and Lucid, they're really starting to get rolling off the back of QQ. As well as CBBK doing some good work as well. Qualifier has been good job swinging between both Catwalk as well as B Apartments.
Well, Boot have bought 3 smokes in this round, so you don't buy 3 smokes without having an idea of what you want to use them for. What is the plan?
Like, it's going to be potentially trying to walk out underpass with 2 of these pistoling players and catch that con rotator off guard while the rest of the lads swing out Palace. Actually, it is a window boost. Is QQ going to be aware? He's already swinging back in there. You can't catch this man off guard. He's having a heater right now.
Splashky with the Deagle, unfortunately not enough. There was an opening, no one was looking at him, and if he hits a headshot there, I don't know if it necessarily turns things around for Boot, but it certainly opens the door a tiny bit more. And once again, we're seeing the exact same sort of a situation for Boot, where 1 by 1 they slowly fall like flies. There's not that much cohesion at that point.
Yep.
Just individuals trying to win the aim duels, and when it works, it looks fantastic, but when it doesn't...
Where I would take a pause as Boot. Really have a bit of a thonk. Nothing's really working out.
Splashky's got the AWP now, though. And remember, this was sort of the turning point on Nuke.
Yep. It got nice and close, and then 1 or 2 key plays from Splashky, as well as, I can't remember who got, there was a clutch or something like that towards the end of that game as well. Or 1 key round where one of the riflers stepped up as well, and Boot really started to pull away.
It's a Boot tack pause right now. It's turning into a Lucid technical, but doesn't seem to have lasted for too long. So, as you say, Boot needed a bit of time to chat. They've been given that. So what's the name of the game? What's the plan? Benkai sure to buy himself an AK. In fact, I suppose this is the technical pause aspect. So we maybe get in for a little bit more of a wait. How's this looking, though, in your mind? Because right now, for me, it sort of seems as though we're on a slow Lucid Dream trend, right? It's sort of trending toward Lucid Dream at the moment, I think.
100%. I think it's Lucid Dream that are doing a fantastic job. CBPK, QQ, and Qualifier are all really stepping up on this CT side. PTC's sort of slowly starting to get things going, but it's definitely been the riflers running around on this CT side and making some key multi-frags and impact that's been the real driving force for Lucid Dream. Not to mention the fact that Boot, it doesn't really feel like they have any depth on this Mirage T side. It kind of already feels like they're out of ideas and they're just sort of trying to manipulate mid and see if they can find a pick by a combination of people swinging out top middle and maybe sending one into connector and trying to see if that works. This time Splashky's going to try and manipulate middle with a AWP rather than running around with a rifle, which was working out pretty decently for him earlier. Yeah. Will be a combination of QQ and CBBK that they'll have to contest with if they step foot in the wrong parts of middle. But in general, a fairly passive approach from Lucid Dream. As you do see, they have an A ramp set up with Genius as well as PTC close by.
Yeah, well, running out of utility for Boot as well to get into either of the sites. Smoke goes down for, I think it was connector from them.
Yeah, well, they've got connector control as well as ladder, so this is a really, really good position for Boot to be able to exploit. They just have a few snags that they could potentially trip over, at CBPK being one of them. Oh my god, terrible time to pull out a molly. PTC picks himself up a frag early.
Devi actually charges through the molly. Important for the other players actually to get the next eye on the B site, which allows the bomb plant here. And Splashky with the AWP, you can always bet he's good for one, and such a powerful, potent position for him to be in here. Just checks behind him, and straight away PTC goes down. Well, you questioned it. You said, you know, the AK was going well for Splashky, but I don't think you can deny that when there is an orb in Splashke's hands, it just seems like a different boot.
It's really looked like a round straight out of their nuke playbook, in my opinion. They took some, you know, pretty basic map control, I would say, like nothing crazy. They got some con, they got some ladder room or whatever, and then they just sort of used that to make sure that they were pushing towards a bomb site together, and the spacing was good, and the trading and the fundamental way that they approached the attack of that bomb site, it was very good. The riflers really following up each other up very well. Splashke got put in a pretty key position that he was able to manipulate into a good round win, despite the first 2 frags going the way of Lucid Dream. How quickly they're traded back, and once that's happened, I mean, you're looking at a 2v5 on that B bomb site, which turns into a 3v3 where the closest player is in market, and when you got Splashke posted up on market ready to go.
Devi went down to the bomb, which will hurt Boot's buy in this round.
The mid control for Lucid Dream. Thus far, Boot just chilling behind that smoke. They don't really have anyone towards that A side of the map, which is indicative of potentially a B split later on, considering they're putting a lot of pressure on that apartment. Smoke on towards the window. Lucid Dream, they haven't really overreacted. They have an extra person rotated over here, which is QQ, but Qualifier is still sitting on a fair bit of utility. Now these B players are going to start to make their way down into underpass. All of Boot really focused on middle here. The question is, what for? Flash over towards the top. That's actually a smoke expended by CBBK. He's going to try and maneuver his way around that to see if he can pick off any of the Ts as they try to find something in middle. The question is, how is Boot going to convert this into a round win? All of them are in middle right now. Are they going towards A or B? That's a beautiful angle for Splashke to be posted up on.
Yep, just once again finding that opening. CBBK, though, sprays down 2. They're not prepared for the player in ladder. Trade needs to come.
God.
But it might be too late. Lucid Dream, they're going to get away with one. And unless Devi does manage to have a big impact here, which he may yet still. He's been pretty solid all night, actually, for Boot. But
excellent position for Qualifier.
Well, is he aware? And what does Devi do here? I think he is forced, really, to plant on B. Time's running out, so this probably means that he just loses the round straight up. Can't really plant too safe from apartments, and now he's going to be forced to plant, so Qualifier will just take this peek. It's all in the timing. He'll get his gun out, so that at least makes it doable. But a huge crossfire here. Surely Devi does not manage to win this. Well, he takes the first, doesn't know where Qualifier is. Had no idea that there was a player in apartments. Ooh, well, I think a heart-stopping moment really in the end actually there for Lucid Dream and maybe a lot of Thai fans, because if he just flicks around and hits Qualifier in the head, you could have seen that happening, surely.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty tough call if you're Devi in that situation. I think it's, you know, a point where you're in the 3rd map of the series, you know, it's going to be pretty hard to deduce in your head that it's possibly likely that Qualifier is pushed into that B apartments, being that B anchor player, or maybe he just hasn't made that connection in his head. Pretty hard situation to sort of be making assumptions like that, but you've got to kind of cut corners in that 1v2. Regardless, though, you really have to give it to QQ and CBBK coming up clutch time and time again on these CT rifling rolls, especially maneuvering their way around middle like Lucid Dream are. They're either full taking control of it, or they're sort of moving their way in from jungle or short and trying to do damage that way.
This
beautiful utility usage from these B players once again.
Just watch this from CBBK. It's going to get rid of Alex. Nope, not quite. Alex backs away. Another critical amount of damage, though, and Benkai is the only one that can have any kind of an impact on this round for Boot. He's been taken down. The AK, it's arguably retrievable, and Bobasaur does actually manage to get it. But it was a near thing, and now Boot just absolutely bails out of the B apartments. This shot from PTC gives away the position of the orb. The smoke does close him off just a little bit. Still, it doesn't give you much hope for Boot in this round. The AK has had probably not even a single bullet fired by the looks of things so far. How's he gotten behind PTC here? Oh, no! Knife him! No! That couldn't have gone worse, could it? You could tell I think he wanted the knife initially. Oh, dear.
Boot, what's the game plan, lads? Because, alright, Alex has bought an AK in the last round, I'm assuming, which is why he's got no cash. All of the other lads are going to get AKs and armor. No potential for Splashke to be able to get his hands on an AWP. for Boot, which was pretty much their last little success in terms of this T side.
It's attack balls for Boot here, so a little bit of a discussion. I mean, you could always argue, I guess, that Benkai can drop an AWP. That's going to leave him in a really weird position as well.
This whole Boot T side has been so like structured towards either B or middle and then towards B, and pressure on that connector. Like, where's the diversity? Where's the A execute? Where's the Palace pop very early on into the round? We just haven't seen it from Boot.
Once again, it'll be middle.
And arguably, like, you know, you've got Genius over there that's not really contributing as heavily in this map and in this series in general. Could be potential for someone you could try and isolate. There's PTC with a flick that's more worthy of his current rating in this competition thus far.
Yeah. Well, it has been going down, actually, throughout this series. Maybe making a little comeback, as Lucid Dream are also doing the same here on Mirage.
Not good for Boot, but at least they lost the player who doesn't have a rifle in his hands. Currently, Splashkey's going to make the impact over towards that B apartments as well. PTC stuck between two arms of a push right now.
Yeah, the flashbangs are great as well. It allows Splashkey the opportunity to push on forward. CBBK can deny the bomb plant, but he'll be traded out as well. Benkai's got an AWP in his hands. You'd much rather have that in Splashkey's.
Oh,
in
Genius.
fact, just tags Genius. Do they know that there's a player coming in through the apartments? It doesn't seem like they're ready for it just yet. So QQ may have the opening he needs. Devi, though, keeping an eye on that area of the map. Benkai's got himself an AK. Still can't finish off Genius. They'd love a HE nade right now. QQ still not getting an angle onto Benkai, and this next kill is so crucial. Benkai is actually going to be the one to get it onto QQ, and Devi finds Genius. It's Boot that get another round on the board. A shaky one indeed, but it's a round nonetheless.
That's a pretty big mistake for Genius to be crossing market that late into the round. Like, he only cops a tag for it, doesn't actually get killed, but that could have very easily been a kill in that 2 versus 2 for Benkai before QQ is able to make any kind of impact in that round. I was getting very worried for Boot because I felt like Devi wasn't really covering Benkai on short from QQ coming out the apartments there, but it still works out for them. It's a game of timing, and Boot's able to pick that round away off some sharp headshots again from Splashkey, making the impact. Now Lucid Dream, they've still got to buy, but not much utility, not much money left for either of these teams towards the later portions of this game, so it's really heating up. CBBK, yeah. Oh my god, this man's in such a perfect position to be able to dismantle Boot right now. Yeah,
it just depends on how long Boot wait and watch. Oh, it looks like they're going to find him, and they do. That's so huge for Devi. A great shot from Splashkey, and I was going to say the best thing about that last round for Boot is that they took an AWP through. It's in the hands of Splashkey. If this round goes the way of Boot, which now it very much looks like it will, Lucid's money is going to be absolutely shot. And that should be Boot punching their ticket into IEM Sydney.
Benkai's already under balcony, ready to punish anybody who's trying to exit towards that A side of the map. I'd imagine Boot's going to start to go on the hunt a little bit. Normally, you know, in the earlier parts of the half, when your money's this scuffed, you wouldn't want to be losing AKs here or there. But if you take these 2 rifles out of the hands of Lucid, the AWP out of the hands of Lucid, that's all they've got left in this game. Benkai's making his way closer towards CT spawn, able to pick up both of them. That's it for Lucid. 2K on all of their players. That's like CZ's armor, a smoke, or a flash. This is Boot's opportunity to be able to make it into Sydney. The difference between CBBK getting punished out of that apartments or not is the difference between who wins this map, and Devi is all over it.
Yeah, well, it's been a struggle. It's been a real grind for Boot, but now there should be no illusions as to whose map this is to take. Boot have got 2 opportunities. This is their best. If they don't get it here, there's still 1 more to fall back on, so there is at least that small advantage, a little less pressure for Boot right now. Lucid with it all to play for. You do not want to go down 0-3 in a situation like this. At least give yourself something in the history books.
Qualifiers push through B apartments, could potentially be punished by Alex if the timing doesn't go well for him. CBK is backing him up. Genius in a pretty good angle to be able to punish Splashkey, who misses the shot, but he charges forward, and Benkai's there to back him up. QQ now alone, gets his head taken off.
Yeah, this looks to be it. Boot have started off well, and it seems as though they are going to finish well. To follow it, Bobasaur gets 2 in middle, and it is just wanna fly. And I think for Lucid Dream, this has turned into a bit more of a nightmare tonight, as unfortunately that's going to be the end of that for them. even though they come into the series with a one-map advantage. It's time to say see you later to them, and welcome back to Boot Dreamscape, who will make their return to IEM Sydney. We saw them last year. We're going to get to see them again this year. And after the series that they've just played, I think that's very well deserved. Not to mention, not only that series, but the entire qualifier for them, really. They go down to NASA in the first round and then make the run all the way through the lower bracket. They win the final there with a map disadvantage. When all said and done, that's a real grind from Boot, and very impressive with this new roster.
Yeah, they did it on hard mode, having to come all the way through the lower bracket, like you said. Grand final, one map disadvantage, but they reverse sweep Lucid Dream on what looked like a bunch of maps that they were fairly comfortable on, and a lot of these maps could have gone either way, especially if you're talking about Nuke or this Mirage game in particular. It was pretty hotly contested by Lucid Dream, but Boot were able to come away with it, and that is so incredibly impressive for a team who's recently lost two of their pretty much founding members and having to replace them with some people. You know, obviously Alex is coming in. You got Devi, who's probably the least sort of comfortable addition to this roster, and he seemed to be doing fairly well for himself. I will say that he sort of slowed down in this grand final a little bit more than what we saw in one or two of the other maps, especially particularly against Alpha Red. Splashkey, he was just on fire all night, you have to say it. And as for Lucid Dream, I mean, especially their riflers, some of them are quite consistent. I would say, though, that, like you said, before we even got into this series, PTC, his inconsistency really shone through in this grand final, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. For him to be the standout player of the qualifiers up until this point, and then to not really be able to have, I would say, any impact at all in the grand scheme of things in this grand final, kind of shows again that inconsistency. But I mean, you kind of look on the other side of the coin. You look at Splashkey, you know what you're going to get from him, and he certainly has established himself as once again one of the best AWPers in the SDA region. Now, I like the point that you made about Devi, particularly now that we're heading into what would be obviously IEM Sydney for Boot Dreamscape. For the majority of these players for Boot, you know, they've kind of played on stages like this before, not at the Qudos Bank Arena, I suppose, but they've been in a situation, they've been in IEM Sydney before. Alex hasn't, so there's a question mark over him for me at a big tournament like this, at least in recent times. And the same for Devi, right? We've never seen him in any roster, anything that he's ever performed in, be at a situation, at a big event like this. So I think those are the two kind of storylines that we have to look at for Boot Dreamscape. We sort of know what we're going to get from the rest of them. But aside from that, you know, Boot Dreamscape obviously well performed today. Obviously, MVP as well. Some news, of course, from the other streamers that MVP managed to get their way through to IEM Sydney. So we've got two returning teams. Having a look at the bracket here for our stream in particular, Boot Dreamscape, as you can see, with the 3-1 over Lucid Dream, which in reality today was a 3-0. Lucid Dream came in with that one map advantage, so that even puts more of an emphasis on the fact that Boot Dreamscape should be the one to go through to IEM
I
Sydney.
mean, this pretty much says it all. They only lost 2 maps this entire qualifier, and they were the first 2 maps they played against NASA.
Yeah.
That's it. And then since then, they were just on a massive tear. Fire in their bellies, being locked down into the lower bracket. They were able to come all the way through it and able to take it out up against the Lucid Dream team, who, you have to say, they took out Entity, who's a roster that's a mix with Indians and Serbians. Then you got your boys over on NASA, one of the strongest teams in the region. They avoided that domestic landmine in Alpha Red. Really good performance from Lucid Dream. They've been one of the more solid teams in Asia thus far, and in general, the Thai teams have been pretty impressive, I would say, in terms of these Southeast Asian qualifiers. But when the pressure's on, when it all comes down to it, you know, there's tenure and then there's, you know, fleeting form, and you got Boot Dreamscape, who you can always rely on to put in a good performance when the chips are down. Yeah,
absolutely. For Boot Dreamscape, I suppose now the next sort of task is preparing for IEM Sydney. In itself, that's, I think, a difficult task for Boot. You know, you've got that new roster, which you said maybe you felt could hit a new high. Maybe they're not going to be quite as consistent, but if they can hit that new peak, perhaps they can cause some damage at IEM Sydney.
The interesting thing is that both of the people that really should be AWPing on the roster seem pretty competent with the rifles. We didn't see anything really from Devi with the AWP, so that's a big question. Is he going to be able to hit that next level of firepower? Splashkey's already hit it. There's no doubt in my mind. Are those players, like you said, who haven't played on the stage before, going to be able to play well in IEM Sydney?
Well, lots to take a look at when we do finally get to IEM Sydney. Guys, thank you very much for watching the SDA closed qualifiers. We're all done and dusted for tonight. I will very quickly redirect you, of course, to twitch.tv/ESL if you want to check out out the China qualifiers, which are still going on. Vici, actually a map up over Tyloo, though it is technically a 1-1 given Tyloo comes through from the upper bracket. You should go check that one out, though, because that is sure to be a fantastic game if you're itching for some more Counter-Strike. From us here, though, in the SEA qualifiers, I've been Elfish Guy, this has been Pilly. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you at IEM Sydney.
Fox is under a lot of pressure. Oh my god, what is that?
He just beams on foot. Does not seem like Rubinstein want to let him have that either.
He shot the guy in lobby.
Yeah. Trying to chase down the remaining Alpha Red players, and it's not even going to make... Ooh!
What did they ban?
Doesn't peak, then... Oh dear. Look at this. Boot have literally walked through middle.
How is it happening? Like, I know it sounds silly to leave like a really important part of the map open, but when one team's doing the monster jumping or DZ.
That's true. Oh!
What? Walking right past each other, the CTs and the Ts.
Oh, Bulbasaur does indeed multi
their way in their own time over towards me. That thought. Bulbasaur, he's got himself two.
Oh. Through. That's a good shot. Good throw.
Beautiful. Brother.
That has been key, hasn't he? But it doesn't seem like it's going to be an easy task for him, but he gets 3!
Boot. For Boot to get into this round, because Benkai seemed like something. What is that? Come on.
This should turn into a highlight reel for an AWPA. Let's see if it's going to be the case this time. PTC starts off well. Answers in reply.
Very curious. Oh my lord, Splashkey. He's already getting amongst it. It's the fish, and none of these players are, as they've gone quickly towards outside. CBBK.
Trying to hold on to the side, and so far things are going okay. Bulbasaur! How has he done that? 3 with the CZ, even gets the reload off, and this should be the 4th for him as well.
Since losing that first pick and realizing they're actually going up against a buy, they're struggling.
Oh!
Skybox QQ out with a fury through B apartments this time, in fact. Oh my.
One more shot.